Let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to Thicc Radio, the award-winning podcast where we talk about gaining, fetishism, and everything plus size. Today is hot, y'all, and so today I am this device that goes around your neck and it provides a little fan, a bit of wind support, but I can't use it because it gets picked up by this microphone and you wouldn't be able to hear me during this recording, so I have to leave it, which is me in this example, on the side, and I'll just suffer through. James.
And when you're over 40 with plantar fasciitis, it's a bad idea to stand for 12 hours. Tim.
Yo, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have with us the incredible, one of the co-host, co-presenters of the Full Figured Industry Awards. We have with us Reggie May. Reggie, baby, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Hot. But you know what? It's fine. We're only in the fifth fucking heat wave of summer, which, like, at this point, is this not just summer now? Is this not
Heat
just
wave
the
after
aggregate?
heat wave. Yeah, it kind of feels that
Yeah,
way.
it definitely feels that way. If it was
You know,
anything like hell, I do not want to go.
ma'am, Whoopi Goldberg sang about this at the very beginning of Sister Act, where she's like, talk about a heat wave. And it's like, yes, that's all this is. All this is. But listen, forget about the heat. We're gonna think cooling thoughts. We're gonna think calm, delicious thoughts, because Reggie, we're speaking with you today, and we are gonna get the chance to dig in with your gorgeous self. So are you ready to get into it with us?
I am.
Oh, marvelous. So listen, we've had the opportunity to speak with you on the full figured interviews when we're chatting up with the people from the fires. So for anyone who has not had the opportunity to get to know you, that's another little soupçon, another little opportunity to get to be familiar with your wonderful self. But for the people today who maybe have not come across you before, I want to ask, who is Reggie when you're not styling people, hosting events, or making everybody else look fabulous? Who are you?
Interesting enough, I am one of those folks who enjoys my oasis at home. I am one I could be considered an introvert or an extrovert, but I will prefer to be an introvert when things are just like not moving. I like the peace, I like the quiet, I like good food and great conversation. So if you got those things, I'm your guy.
And when was the moment you realized that style wasn't just about clothes, but also about identity?
Oh, interesting enough. When I got out of college, I really knew that I didn't just want to sit at a desk and push papers all day. I am one who likes to be up and moving and going and things of that sort. So after college, I went on to work for the district court. And at that job, it was just not fulfilling for me. So I was like, you know what? Let me get a part-time job. Got me a part-time job at a luxury retailer. And at that luxury retailer is when I knew that, okay, this is where I need to be. This is where, I can get up every day and be excited to come to work. And I eventually started working in specialty retail. And specialty retail is a little bit more personable. And getting to know women on a very personal, intimate level as it relates to their bodies, I became very aware of the fact that, okay, this is some type of therapy. This is some type of life-changing type of shit. So I knew like very on that, okay, I can change people's lives through style. But more than that, more than making them look good on the outside, is giving them something on the inside that'll like really change their life and their aspects on just living. So that's when I knew right then and there, like, okay, this is going to be a career.
Isn't it so powerful? We've had this opportunity with a few people, both through the fire chats and even just on the pod, as we speak to more people who've got that kind of industry knowledge around, I suppose you could say, beauty as a
Mhm.
broad scope. There's a lot of stereotype around it being vapid and kind of a bit flippant, a little bit of like, how necessary is this really? You're spending money that doesn't really matter. And yet everyone we get the chance to talk to talks about this inevitable moment when someone comes in and is clearly feeling some type of way, not a good way. And the work that you do
Mhm.
clearly sets them on a good path. And whether or not people want to think that's just for the day, the way it reads to me is that this really sets people on a journey of self-love and self-discovery. Because so many of us, especially occupying larger bodies,
Mhm.
there are no narratives of like, you're beautiful. There is no narrative of like, go on with your bad self. There is only, aren't you lucky that someone's here to put up with you? It's very caustic like that. So I think someone like yourself who comes in and gets to spend time with people and love on them, walk them through in a moment is just phenomenal stuff, babes. And to which point I would like to know, helping people on that confidence journey, what do you think it is in particular that transforms someone from dressing to hide themselves into dressing to express themselves? And with that, do you believe that style can actually create the confidence, or does it just help to reveal what is already there?
That's a great question. Style is something that we are all born with. It just takes us a little time to tap into it. The industry gives us not necessarily a roadmap, but simply a canvas. And it's up to us to put the puzzles together and figure out what works best for us. And one of the things that I discovered is that style complements confidence. You ever go into your closet and you look and you're like, oh my God, completely forgot I had that shirt. Confidence is the same way. We have it within us. It just takes us a moment to find it. And sometimes it comes and it goes. It's one of those things where people realize that I never knew I could wear that. I always hear people say all the time, oh, I can never do this. Oh, I could never do that. Well, why can't you? If it's there, if the access is there, why can't you wear that? Why can't you build upon your assets and feature them to the world? Like the things that gives us joy should be the things that build our confidence. And I find that, so often than not, we typically, especially in the larger bodies, we typically hide the things that kind of like are our superpowers because society says we can't and we conform to that. So, for me, it just takes a little time for me to recognize and show folks that you have this, use it, it's yours. It's something that someone else just doesn't have or can't flaunt or, expose the way that you do. So use it. And who gives a shit what people think?
And you've spent years helping people dress for the bodies that they have, not the bodies that they're told that they should have. So, why do you think that so many of us struggle to let go of this fantasy that we create of our future body and just embrace and accept what it is we have right now?
Oh my gosh, you guys and these freaking questions. You know, it probably starts in childhood. So often we are raised to believe that you're big, you can't change, this is who you are, this is what the world is given to you, figure it out. And the waters get muddy because we don't right there's so many limited like platforms for us to go to recognize that okay, you know what, I have this special body, and there are only limited parts of the world that I can tap into. And I believe a lot of times that years ago, I would say, like things have changed so much now, but years ago, we were just conforming to what society says we have to do. And it was just the way to go. And now, in the world of like fighting against any and everything, we have this joy and we have access to things that we didn't have in years past. So with that, it's going to take time for people to like get over the aspect that okay, big, larger bodies, plus size bodies are taking up space, but it's also going to take the community in itself to realize that everything that every smaller body has, or everyone else has, we have as well. We just have to tap into it and fight through it, honestly.
what do you think people get wrong about what actually makes people attractive?
I think we all have the same body parts. We all get a nose or two nostrils, we get 10 fingers, 10 toes. Like those are the things that are the exterior. For me personally, I believe it's about a personality. I have come across the most gorgeous people, the most fit people. I mean, and they have the worst personalities. They have, I can't even fathom standing next to someone who is attractive on the outside, but their character is just horrible, disgusting. It's hard to breathe next to folks like that. So to me, what's attractive is someone's personality, how they carry themselves, and it's also in what we look for in people. More often than not, we look at the person who has a fit body, they have great skin, they know how to dress or their style is great, but we don't look past that. Or we go on social media and we fantasize about, our favorite influencers, but when you meet them in person, they are not approachable. They're disgusting. They're rude. They are, they just have these things that are just not great qualities of a person who should live in society, honestly. I mean,
Mm.
I can't express enough. One who's attractive is one who is respectful, who carries himself in a way with dignity and pride, and owns their shit. Like we're not perfect, none of us are, but if you can stand 10 toes down and own who you are as a person, to me, that's confidence and that's attractive.
Mm. It's funny, isn't it? Like you talk about this, and with certain influencer types and celebrity types, it's almost as if what do you owe like any person on the street? And what we
Mhm.
probably do owe one another is a sense of that respect, a sense of consideration. And it doesn't mean you've got to go out of your way to be like, I said fluffy earlier. I don't think you got to go out of your way to be like fluffy and, bright with everybody, especially if that's not your mood of the day. But like, that's probably a question that all of us can take into consideration. How do you act with the people on the street, especially when you're not having the best of days? Because you don't know what other people are going through. Could we
That's
all of
true.
us perhaps take an opportunity to be like, oh, what energy am I putting into the world? Let me think about that, perhaps just a little bit.
Just a little, just a little. And when you honestly think about it, when you think about the plus size body, we're always, I find it, and I hate to use the word always because not all of us, but I feel like we are expected to be kind and nice and polite because we're in a larger body. But that's not always the case, but and sometimes it doesn't always make you attractive either when you are always nice and you don't stand for something. So it could go both ways. And I find it like I myself sometimes I can be in a space where, I'm not having a great day. I don't want to talk. But if this is the norm, then there's a problem.
Well, let me ask you this, and actually, I'll put this to the pair of you because I feel like all of us as like queer male types come from like different parts of the world and different background experiences. How much of that do you think intersects with the pick me of it all? Because sometimes I wonder about this when I see gay men who act in a certain fashion, whether that's in person, in online spaces, and there is that little thought in the back of my mind where I'm a bit like, what are we doing here? What is this? Like,
Mhm.
as you say, we all have our moments and we can all be whoever we want to be in a given moment. But sometimes after a certain point, you do look at someone with some familiarity and you do think to yourself, what is the spirit within which we are saying certain things, making certain choices and decisions? What
Yeah.
do you all think about that?
Oh, I think I hate, you know, ugh, ugh. It's interesting enough. When I go out into the world, I put people sometimes in two categories. And I realize in myself that I can be very judgmental. And it may just be come from my own background of like how I was raised and things of that sort. But I'm starting to realize in 2026 that the gay community is very segregated when it comes to just a level of class, a level of community. And I find myself like, okay, this is my group. These are my people. And these are folks that they got some work to do. You know, they're in a group of their own, and I choose not to, indulge in those activities that that they display. And honestly, in the world outside of the gay community, they all look at us as just one group. So I find it very interesting that when you're in a community, you can separate like yourself from different groups, and you can't partake in certain things, and it's not always like in a great light. And then when you're in another community, you feel like you have this stature, or you have this thing about you that people can look at you and say, oh, I want to be with them. And it's like, we should work on how we present ourselves out in public, especially in the gay community. But I don't know, that's just my take.
See, I've been noticing this stuff for a long, long time. Like when I first started going out in my local gay scene, I noticed how segregated it was. It was cliquey. There were very few people who could move in and out of certain social groups. Like everyone just kind of stuck together. The mean girls ran together, the meth heads ran together. There's always that one gay guy that has to be as gay as possible. And not in the way that makes it fun, but in the way that like I have to make every single thing about me.
Mhm.
And I know how it sounds to be saying that because we used to say, oh, but gay does dictate so much of your stuff. Yes, it does, but it's not a personality trait. That's the thing. It's not a personality trait. And there are some people out there who use it as a personality trait.
Well, you know what? I think you really hit the nail on the head before when you said like when you center yourself in the experience, and I've certainly said this in recent months, there is something about, many of us who grew up experiencing same-sex attraction, you know, gay rights is a long and storied history, and the idea of queer acceptance is very, very new in the global scheme. All of us, I think, grew up in environments where it was not okay to be gay, and so we would have wrestled with it, taken time to come to terms
Mhm.
with it. Eventually, you figure it out, and now you enter the space. And I think there are many, many people who resolve their tensions only as far as it applies to themselves. And so there is a conversation, I think, around the ways in which perhaps sometimes we take for granted that other people share the space with us, and that perhaps more people need to think about the ways in which they could be more gracious in sharing the space. Liberation is for all of us. And when we maybe take a little bit more and don't leave enough for others, because we do that, right? By being a little bit self-aggrandizing. We do that by like taking up
By
space in the
hoarding, by
conversation,
hoarding attention.
by hoarding attention. Baby,
Mhm.
listen, hello, honey, it's the white experience. Every space we go into, is there not a tendency to be like, well, what I have experienced is nothing like what other people have? Baby, it's okay. Take a breath, sit down for a second, let somebody else with a little more melanin or perhaps a different racialized experience stand up and tell their flavor of the story.
Just because you are gay, it does not automatically make you fabulous. Now, you have more potential than perhaps the average person to be fabulous because you have exposure to a culture that is rich and thriving, but just being gay is not enough to make you fabulous.
Absolutely. I almost think sometimes being gay is like it comes with a narcissistic kind of like undertone. A lot of times it's like you're just like everyone else. It's okay to be different. Listen, for me, I love a little different. I love a little weird. That is my thing. I am one who always goes against the grain. I can't do what other people do. Oh, you got it? Great. I'll get it 6, 7 months from now, and I'll enjoy it then, and I'll tell you about my experience. So yeah, the gay community could definitely use a little love, and we could use some little one-on-one classes on how to live and be as a community again. I feel like we've took a left turn, and we're going 90 miles an hour sometimes. But hey,
Yeah, the whole world took a left turn. That's the
for sure.
problem. But if I can switch it over to fashion for a second, because I don't really get to talk about
Mhm,
fashion that often.
mhm,
I know James is just like, yeah, because I talked to him about the Met Gala. He couldn't care less. Um,
Listen, baby, it's just not for me. But you
I
know what? We
know.
were just saying this, right? Like it's okay that our wants and our particular fascinations are a
It's fine.
little different.
I
Here is your
find
moment,
I
though.
find other people to scream with me over the latest De La Renta. But I was wondering, what is the biggest lie that the industry overall is still telling plus size people? And I realize that this is in the wake of the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction, where we were getting so close to just
Mhm.
accepting people's bodies, and then Ozempic came along. So, what is it? What's it like? What's the temperature right now in 2026?
The word inclusivity is a lie. I can't express enough how brands in this industry uses the word so cavalier, and it's not true. It's not. It's the plus size body, the plus size uh, in retail they call it a category, is one that's an afterthought. It's one that does not drive revenue, and so they look at it as something that, okay, yeah, we have to do this. We have to. Do we need to make it a focus? No. Do we have to provide a space for it? Yes. So I think the industry, when you hear brands say inclusivity, it's not true. It's something that's just a popular word that organizations use to just pull in that 2 to 3% of attention to their brand. But it's just not true. It's all a lie. And the fashion industry is, I want to say at least over like the last 10 years, hasn't been, the creatives have died, have gone away. And now you have these, I don't know if you are familiar with luxury retail, but you have these houses where creative directors are just bouncing from house to house to house to house to house because the brands themselves have lost their creativity and they don't know what they can do to sustain themselves. And the problem
Mm.
Girl,
is,
amen. When I saw a couple of years ago, when I saw what Gucci was coming out with, I was like, what the fuck? You're supposed to be a luxury brand, and this is what it looks
yeah,
like.
yeah, Gucci is the H&M of the world now. Like everyone has access to it. Like they haven't had a creative director in years, and I think they just got one maybe about 6, 7 months ago. But yeah, the industry itself has lost its juice, and I don't think, I hate to say this, but I don't think it's coming back. I don't think it's coming
I
back.
don't think it is either. With the
Yeah.
way that things keep advancing, the gatekeepers are gone, and fast fashion keeps exploding, and you know, uh, and now that you can get knockoffs from Temu, I don't know what else is like.
Listen, I saw a Goyard bag in TJ Maxx, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, have we gone to the point where, like, okay, secondhand, department stores are now selling designer. So it's like, where is the special, where have we gone in fashion now?
Well, this doesn't really have anything to
Mm.
do with the topic at hand, but I am curious about this myself, just because, like, someone who works on the inside of the industry, do you think sometimes that it is it's like I get it that these garments have a lot of work that go into them, and sometimes they are sort of rarer or special materials, but they
Mhm.
don't need to cost as much as a house. So that's the part that always baffles me.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
you keep it inaccessible so that only the celebrities and the upper echelon of society can have them. And then of course the design filters down until it gets all the way to, a department store.
Yeah.
But like, does it really have to be that way?
It doesn't. I remember traveling to Turkey, and I went into a fabric store, and things in Turkey are not expensive at all. But looking at fabrics and look at the quality of fabrics and the thread counts and things of that sort, and the type of fabrics that they are, I came to realize that more often than not, we're just buying a name. You're not buying any type of quality.
That's exactly what I always thought it was like, okay, so you spent $3,000 constructing a garment that falls apart on its second
Mhm.
wearing. Like, what is the point?
Correct. Yeah, you are buying the name. You are buying the experience. You're not buying anything of. You're not buying the quality because everything is made in the same place now. Like you turn over, open up a tag, it's made in Thailand, it's made in China. Like it's all made in the same places. There's no special factories. They're just changing the names. Brands are just buying the access, and the consumers are just buying the brand name, the brand experience that they can deliver. So marketing is, I think, one of the things that's always going to be key when it comes to luxury brands or just brands in general, is that how can you sell your product and your merchandise better than your competitors? It's just that simple.
But we were talking about this recently when it came to the movie industry. Hollywood is dying because creativity is at a loss. People
Mm-hmm.
in the era of AI, when there is a lot of economic turmoil and upset, people aren't looking for creativity and taking risks. They're looking for things that are guaranteed returns. And the problem is anything artistic, it don't matter how much you try to screen that, no matter how many people you try to peer review with, no matter how many surveys you run, no matter any
Mm-hmm.
stats and data you try to collate, you can never game art. You can never truly figure out art and like the money, because like art is by nature just not that. So,
That's correct.
it is interesting thinking about this, especially in terms of the what fashion is accessible to fat people, because the stats were done, I think it was what, 2023, 2024, it was mid-COVID, I remember that. And they
Mm-hmm.
basically worked out that the company that first creates like actual proper accessible plus size clothing that is of a decent quality and a decent price point for the average American is going to become one of the most wealthy brands of clothing in the world. Because
Mm-hmm.
fat people work and they got money, and fat people who can't afford to buy a lot of these clothes actually make up a large portion of the people. And so,
That
like,
is
the
true.
money is there, the economy is there for it. And yet, why is no one really wanting to produce the fashion for fat people? Should tell you a lot about the nature of fat phobia. That people are so terrified of their brand being associated with something that they denigrate and don't see as worthy that they are willing, as capitalistic ventures whose
Yes.
whole purpose of being is to make money, they are
Mm-hmm.
more prepared to lose out on the power of the dollar than have a
Mm-hmm.
fat bitch wear they're from.
Because of their prestige, because they can't,
Yes.
Diane von Furstenberg is not going to send a plus size woman down the runway in a wrap dress, even though she'd look fabulous. She's just not going to do it because she chooses not to. And it's ridiculous. It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's just the whole like we're better than you mentality. We are the
Yep.
elite. We can dress any way that we want to. We're all clothes hangers because heroin chic has come back. So now you can count all our rib bones.
And I think it's important to,
Yeah.
I'm going to say something here. Like, I don't know that heroin chic ever left. In the same way, and listen, I'll say this in the same way, because what we're seeing now with the anti-drag and anti-trans of it all, baby, homophobia, transphobia never went away.
Well, it went
They just,
underground in
they
in a
exactly,
way. Like,
they learned
Mm-hmm.
to get quiet about it, and people turned around and decided that that was good enough, that that was a sign that things were fixed, but it wasn't. It just went down quiet. So, I think it's important to recognize that we now more than ever need the thing, but we should have never like put the foot off the gas. It's like, yes, we
Yeah.
need plus size models and we need plus size designers, but we also need plus size people working in the modeling agencies. And we need plus size people working in the retail stores and working in management. We need plus size people at every level so that no matter what element of this movement comes to pass, we've got a big bitch in the seat who can say, hey, let's keep this going in the correct direction. So that's what I would like to see personally, regardless of the
Yeah.
industry. When it comes to creativity, I'd like to see some more big bitches taking up space at every level of management and creation.
So
you
it's
know what?
interesting you say that because more often than not, you won't see it because the brand is not marketing it. It goes back to the aspect of the person who works in HR is also the person who's going to protect the brand's image. So, the resume can look great, but if you don't look the part or represent the brand, I don't care if you are the custodian, you're working for that brand, you have to look the part. You may not be the face of the brand, you may not be in public, but you may be sitting at a cubicle, and they want to make sure that that person who's sitting at that cubicle in Gucci is the same person that they can throw a shirt on and put them in front of a camera. So, brand image and brand marketing is so critical that it'll definitely take a whirlwind of CEOs to understand that, okay, if you want to use the word inclusivity, don't just make it on the outside or make it for your consumers to see, but, to your point, put it in your cubicles, put them in your offices, ensure that these people are brand ambassadors for your companies that you say you're inclusive about. So I think the idea is that, big folks gotta one, build their confidence to know that you're just as worthy. You can go work at all of these high houses, high design and luxury retailers or, brands itself and put yourself out there because a lot of times I myself worked for a luxury retailer and I realized that, oh, do I belong here? Are people going to take me serious? I was one of 1,000. And it took me to realize that, okay, not only am I working here, but I do got to speak up for my big girls and my big guys. I got to be a representation for them while I'm here. So I think the aspect is that we do need, to your point, more people in those spaces in order for them to hear us. Because going underground and then coming out when they invite us out is not going to be the thing that sustains us in the long run.
It's funny because we were going to ask, is inclusivity real or is it just a trend? And I think you've answered that. Unfortunately, it is a trend at the moment, and which is it's like it's the performative nature of it all. It's the whole
Yeah.
I'm going to placate you, but I'm not going to do it very well. I'm only going to do it half-assed, and you're going to be able to notice that I'm doing it half-assed, but I don't care because I have enough money that I can just push something out there and you have to deal with it. Like it's so
Yeah, we're living in a time where the veneer of the lie is really cracked and faded. So, in instances where Disney does not do representation well like they used to, there's not even the implication of like, oh, we didn't know what we were doing. That the time for that sort of accepted excuses past. Now people are like, we're just not impressed. You have the money, you have the access. If you don't do it well, it's because you're deliberately not doing it well. You could, but you won't. And you won't allow someone else to actually step in and do it well. Because again, that point of you're taking up the space in the conversation, you're taking up the resources, you're making it so that other people can't come up and like make it good, like things to be conscious of.
Mhm.
So, why do you think people are so uncomfortable with someone who visibly enjoys life? Like, it feels to me as if, like, the real problem they seem to have is this jealousy over freedom. And that might be simplifying it a bit. But, I've just being out in the world, you observe people just kind of, and I know I'm one to talk with my resting bitch face, but like, you just observe
Mhm.
people being miserable, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I might look pissy, but I'm not. Whereas a lot of people look happy, but they're actually just assholes and or their misery is also coming from a place of like, I'm like every time you go to the gay pride parade and there's inevitably some detractors there with their big stupid signs that say, you're gonna burn in hell, yada yada yada. And I just look at them and I'm like, and at Cleveland's Pride this year, there was like two of them, only two, which was very, wonderful for me to see that only two people were willing to do this. But at the same time, I was thinking, how sorry must you like how sad is your life that you are standing here on a
Mhm.
Saturday and there's just two of you. No one's paying any attention to you. No one gives a shit. And yet somehow you feel compelled just to stand here with this ignorant sign.
There is an internal disease, I believe, that people battle with every day that they can't simply understand. How dare you be gay? How dare you be confident in that plus size body of yours? And it's like, why does it bother you? So and I think it's a disease that kills people from the inside out. They
Absolutely.
hate themselves so much that they
Mm.
go out of their way and say, how dare you? How dare you exist in the same space that I am, where you can be so confident in who you are and I look better than you. I'm slimmer than you. I weigh less more. I don't weigh as much as you do. And you
Hmm.
have so much confidence. How dare you?
I reference a Logmenon when it comes to this because they say the most incredibly poetic things about this stuff. In speaking about why is it that, especially as of late, the transphobes are just so hateful? Like, why does it really emerge? With the expansion
Mhm.
of the transness and the visibility of transness, why does it come up like that? Is it just because it's seen as easy? Maybe to some extent. But largely it's because now you don't just go, oh, slur of a trans person, the vision of
Mhm.
someone who looks a mess, right? You're actually seeing trans people who look so beautiful and so stunning, and they're put right in front of your face. Let me be clear here: trans people were never gross. You're just being made to address the fact that trans people are gorgeous, and you have to contend with the fact that this person made changes to their body and they look better than you will ever fucking look because you don't take
Mhm.
care of yourself. And
Mhm.
that's why you don't like them. You don't like them because when you were a little boy or a little girl and you felt different in your body, whether that was a form of transness or queerness or just otherness, and you thought you shouldn't be this way. Because, of course, the world tells everyone the same thing, boo. All of us who come out as queer, all of us who come out as whatever it is that we are, who are black, who are disabled, whatever the fuck we are, all of us go through that shit because that's what the world does to us, right? And we have to come out the other side and learn how to be okay with who and what we are. But, of course, there are a great many people. Whatever that difference is, they clamp it down. They clamp it down. Their wings are starting to sprout, they clip their wings. They pluck those feathers out. They rip the flesh. It is as visceral and as horrible as you can imagine. And they do that to themselves. They cut themselves into the right shape to fit society because that's what society has always said we should do. And they said, I am the best because I actually did that. I did what I was supposed to do because that's what society told me to do. And look at you. You have the audacity to be your full self. You're not going to change who you are. You're going to be happy with who you are. I'm miserable because I hurt myself. And you have the
Mhm.
audacity to exist as a liberated, free, and happy individual in front of me? Sophie Hagen talks about this in her book, Happy Fat. You will only ever get two responses from people who see your joy. And those responses are, oh, look at them in their joy. That inspires me to want to go and find my joy. Or you will get people who will look at your joy and it will be a mirror to them to recognize just how unhappy they are. And because they are unhappy, you have to be unhappy. That is the only way they will ever feel at peace with that. And that's the simple truth of it.
I would like to know, from your perspective, are plus size people allowed to be sexy, but not like openly sensual or indulgent? Like, have we gotten to a point where like we can, because there are people who rush out to get their BBLs,
Mhm.
and everyone wants to have fat in the right places, and there's sort of an agreed upon image of the thick person. But like, are bigger people allowed to actually then, like, if they go out to eat, are they allowed to eat whatever they want? Or are they going to be judged for anything that they eat in public? Are they going to be judged for just their sheer presence,
Ooh, I would say yes. It is, plus size, fat, big, tall, whatever you want to call it. We should be the first in line as it relates to being sexy because we're unapologetically ourselves just by being, just by taking up space. All eyes are always going to be on us. So why not take the high road of, being sexy, being out there, flaunting whatever the hell we want to do? I mean, just being us because either way you look at it, the intention is going to be on us. So when you go to the restaurant and you want to eat the ribs, you want to eat, the things that they say we shouldn't, that are unhealthy for us, do it just because they're going to talk anyway. You know, folks are going to say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that because you're this way." Or you shouldn't go there because you're this way. Or, you shouldn't partake in those activities because it's unhealthy for you. Do it because they're going to talk about you anyway. Wear the sexy outfit because they're going to talk about you anyway. If you put on a long extra large shirt, two sizes too big, they're still going to talk about you. There's still going to be a conversation. So it's like, win or lose, do it.
You know what I think is kind of crazy is I don't watch this show very often, but there's that show called What Would You Do, where they present a scenario and everyone's like in on it, and then they just sort of react, or they record how the public reacts. There was
Mm-hmm.
an episode that was around this idea of uh, bringing home a plus size partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they stage this whole thing. It's an actor, and the parents are actors. And I think the woman is Ashley Graham, or someone that looks a hell of a lot like her, a plus size supermodel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the parents, one, don't recognize her face, and two, just don't even look at the fact that she's so fucking gorgeous. They just are like, oh, she's fat. You shouldn't be with a fat person, blah, 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 blah. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, like there were several members of the restaurant, because these things always happen in these public venues, chiming in like, yeah, it's unhealthy. She shouldn't be that way. Maybe he'll find somebody else. And like, it's like, you got a fucking he's got a fucking supermodel. Like, and
Mhm.
what more can a mediocre white man ask for?
The world apparently, in your opinion, right? And let's say we just focus on the fat of it all, right? If we're focusing just on the fat, what do you believe for the average person? And let's say that person is listening to the podcast right now. What can the average person actually do? Like, what can we do as individuals to, within the realm of our power, as little as that might be, what can we do to begin to try to shift the needle just a little bit in a better direction? What do you think?
We need to get in the comments more. We need to support those who are not afraid to get out there and be representatives of this community. We see more individuals like being crusaders for, I can't remember the influencer's name, but she created this big uproar and now she's this like huge influencer as it relates to just the plus size bodies. I think we need to support those who are on the front lines of pushing this industry forward in ways that may not be the traditional like way of doing things. But definitely getting in the comments more, definitely supporting more of our local events. Even if it's an event that's not plus size, show up and show up in the best way possible. Show up in support. I think if we start to show up more in numbers, the industry itself and just the overall community will be represented. I hate to say this, but like to Tim's point, in the world of Ozempic and Roe and all of these commercials are coming out now. That is what's killing us. That is what's killing the community. All these weight loss programs, and I've been a contributor to it myself. But even when we lose the weight, even when the plus size body goes away, you're still part of this community. There are still things that you have carried for years that are now instilled in you. Your exterior just looks different, but we still have a duty to represent and show up in ways where there are still many of us who are struggling with our weights, and our confidence that rely on us. So I think if we still continue to show up, and we show up on podcasts, we show up in the boardrooms, and we still represent as if we were these people, or that these people rely on us, we won't fade away. We won't. Things like your podcast, and the plus size industry and communities will not fade away, because there's still a little big boy out there struggling, trying to find his identity. There's still a plus size, lesbian girl who's not confident enough to leave her house. So she orders Uber Eats and DoorDash every day instead of pulling up to the restaurant and, eating solo. So if we start to begin to show these things more, that the plus size community and the plus body can still exist in the world just by doing small, minute things, I think it'll carry us forward for sure.
I love that you said that because we often say that about members of our own community. If they decide to lose weight, if they decide to kind of like return to their former bodies, or if they decide to slim down for whatever, there's a myriad of reasons. But we've been
Mm-hmm.
preaching for years now that like that does not negate your position within the community. Like you are suddenly, it's not like people suddenly, or they should not be immediately turning their back on you and being like, oh no, you're not one of us anymore. Like, no, this is clearly someone who's also been entrenched in it for just as long. And, just because of some circumstances, things have changed,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to change what they've experienced.
But, to reference something I was saying before, it's the difference between I showed up in a space for me versus I showed up in a space because it's the truth of it and it involves other people. You're allowed to change what is right and correct for you because you've decided, as far as your weight's concerned, maybe I need to prioritize something for my weight, for a situation, whatever that is. But if in doing so, you suddenly go from being okay with fat to being like, actually, fat is disgusting and horrible and everything's evil, baby, that's something's going on upstairs that is not
Yeah.
being resolved, you know? Like, we're all fat and we're all friends. And so if you lose the weight and all of a sudden, oh, well, we're no longer friends because you're fat and I'm not, like, that's really fucking weird. That tells me that there
Yeah.
is a situation not being discussed. So it's as you were saying, it is okay for you to pivot your position in terms of what is correct for you, the person, but that would never mean that the rights of fat people or that the liberation of fat people has now magically shifted. If your beliefs on what is valid for the rights and freedoms of an individual changes because your personal circumstances change, then baby, you were never for the people. You were only ever in it for yourself. So I feel
You
like
know
if
what
that's
you
what
are? You
you're
know what you are if you're that? You're a MAGA. That's what that is. That's MAGA.
I'm just saying.
Indeed, indeed.
I'm just saying. So listen, I feel like these are some big conversations, and I'd like to remind the listeners we have them because we need to have them. And I know that there are other podcasts out there that do this, but guess what? Until this world changes and shifts, we better keep on having them. So Reggie, we're having this conversation with you today. We'll have them more and more and more. So I think let us get into more of your hot takes on some bits and pieces. I would like to know, what is your most controversial fashion opinion?
That crop tops are made for small bodies.
Oh, oh, bitch, you were gonna make some bears real.
Oh,
Here's
there's gonna be a whole room full of twinks up in arms. They're gonna be, what do you mean I
yes.
can't wear a crop top?
Crop tops are very interesting because I feel like it can either go really left or it could just be like, okay, I see you. I have just started wearing crop tops. And I noticed that I gotta have the right bottom in order for the crop top to do what it needs to do.
You can't just be Winnie the Poohing about the place. You've got to
No,
actually
you
have a little
can't
pant
just
to go with that.
you gotta have it gotta be a contrast. So crop tops build confidence, I will say. You gotta be a bold bitch to wear one. And or you can just don't care, you know. So I noticed that if you go on Sheen right now, every plus size shirt is a crop top. And I'm like, okay, I see what we're doing here. We're just saying, fuck it. Everybody gets to wear one. And I wore one a couple weeks ago and I realized that, okay, I needed some pants, high waisted pants to go with this crop top because I got a little gut. And with my little gut, I don't want everything jiggling and things of that sort. So I'm like, I'm only going to wear a high waisted jean to go with my crop top. And sure enough, if I don't have the right undergarments to go with it, I'm not going to wear it. But I seen a chick the other day. She had her crop top on, and she had every bitten piece of her body out. And I'm like, bitch, you got it. You
You
got
know,
it. Do it.
that part. And you know what, baby? Like, there is other, like, okay, because I know, like, within the community as well, especially, people are very insistent that it's like, no, belly over the waistband exclusively. And I'm not saying
Mhm.
that that's like, not how I like to dress, but what if we're talking about someone who really likes to do a zoot suit or someone who likes to dress up real classic? Baby, that trouser needs to come up over the belly. That's how that shit
Mhm.
works, you know?
Mhm.
So there are moments when it is about like not necessarily having things out on display because that's the look, that's the style. Sometimes it is about having that out on display. And it's not about like
Mhm.
one versus the other, like there is a correct way to be. As you were just saying, that's how you're feeling right here in this moment.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, because it's about how you feel. If you're making the decision, you know what it is? It's like when larger girls talk about you don't want to do spaghetti strap because that looks a
Mhm.
certain type of way. Do you know, baby? That's okay. That's okay because if you feel
Yeah.
good with a spaghetti strap, wear it. You look fabulous. And so obviously, if you don't feel good with that spaghetti strap, or if you don't feel good with everything hanging out, then maybe put that away, and then you'll feel better about it, which makes you look sexier because you feel good
Mhm.
about what you're wearing, which is ultimately the whole point of clothes in the first place.
Listen, I also think the environment plays a huge part in it too. Because if I'm going to the Pride Parade is just that. You should be able to wear whatever the hell you want to wear to the Pride Parade, and be comfortable in yourself. But if I'm going to the golf course, and I'm going to hit some balls and things of that sort, I don't want to be necessarily seeing all of your things while I'm trying to focus on the ball. So I think sometimes the environments that we in play a huge part in that. If I'm going to Coachella, it's fair game. But if I'm going to, the Met Gala, or if I'm going to the orchestra, maybe not. So I also think our environments play a huge part in that. And, this whole thing of what to wear where sometimes has lost us, has lost us. Even investing in a tailor. All of our bodies are not made the same. So if you're going somewhere nice, if you're going to a 5-star dinner, maybe, buy something, try it on. And if the sleeves are too long, go to a tailor and get it tailored to your body. Is a thing now. But hey, who am I? In the world of Trump, anything goes.
So, what's one fashion rule that you wish plus size people would completely ignore?
Ignore size the size charts. When you go on a line and you shop, ignore the size charts.
Oh, baby, they
If you
lie.
like it, there are lies. There are lies. There are lies. There are
Lies
lies.
of Manelli lies. They lie like a rug. They are dishonest. They are untruthful. They talk
They
nothing
are.
but deception.
Sometimes we are in denial, but you know, go if you like that top, you know what? And you say, you know what, I like it, buy it, try it on. If it doesn't fit, if it doesn't give you what you need, return it. The size charts are lies these days. They all have deception in them. Even when you go and you return it online and they ask for the reason, tell them the truth because they use that as reporting. It doesn't fit. It's not flattering. Whatever you feel is the truth when it comes to the reasoning, and if your reasoning is not in the drop down, tell the company how you feel because they need to know that. Because they need to know, okay, we need to mark this down 75% because everyone is saying the same thing.
And as a final question for you in this interview with us today, Reg, if
Yeah.
your confidence had a dress code, what would that be?
Classy but trashy.
Classy but trashy. I love that. So what is this, like 2000s? Like everything's kind of like chrome, so
Yes.
like just like appliques. It's a lot of graphic tee.
Affliction t-shirts and
For sure. Like if you look in my closet right now, it's a bit of a mess. It is like undecided. It's like, it's the work stuff. I have 5 things for 5 days out of the week where I have to go to work and I have to wear this. And it's the happy hour attire. It's okay, you know what? We're going out tonight. We're going to be a little trashy. So
Mm.
it's a little bit of both. And I'm in the world right now, as we spoke about at the top of the interview, that it is hot, it is hot, it is hot. So less is it's a good thing. you know, less is a good thing. If I have to cut it up, if I have to tie it up to be comfortable, it's what I'm going to do. It's what I'm going to
Mm.
do. And if I have to wear these jeans or these shorts 3 days out of the week, the same pair to be comfortable and not be hot, it's what I'm going to
girl, for
do.
3 months, all I do is live in these square tank tops, a pair of shorts, and flip-flops. That's that.
Yes.
And I was like, and this is the best you're gonna get out of me.
This is it. This is it. And this is all.
I'm going to the club in basketball shorts because I'm not doing this with you all on this good day, but I'll leave you all with that image. But thank you, Reggie. Thank you so much for your time today, baby. This was a pleasure as always.
Thank you guys.
Of course. Now, baby, where can the listeners find you online?
Oh, the listeners can find me on Style Perceptions everywhere, honestly. TikTok, Instagram. You can email me to styleperceptions@gmail.com.
Gorgeous. Well, listen, y'all, that is it for a wrap now here on Thicc Radio. Please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a good review. If you liked this episode, share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram at Thicky Mouse and Grommr at Orpheus.
You can also find us on social media at Thicc Radio or visit our website at thiccradio.com.
Consider supporting the show by donating to our PayPal or by subscribing to our Patreon, where you can enjoy extra helpings, a behind-the-scenes conversation with this week's guest where nothing is off the table.
And if you send us a letter to thethiccradio@gmail.com, we might just read it on the show. That's all for now, so until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is an independent production.
Artwork, media design, editing, and production by James Heinzen.
With original theme music by CYMK.
And we are good, but that is our first recording done. Reggie, how are you feeling?
Good.